So now let us continue with we are discussing about the concept of Dharma, the duties. So fundamentally, our thinking is because of our feelings and desires, and our thinking creates thoughts. Because of our thoughts, we create certain realities, and because we create certain realities, we have to face the consequences or we have to fulfill our duties. And through the process, we learn some lessons, and through the process, we complete the process. The thoughts are no more unbalanced. The thoughts are in balance. That fundamentally means we are no more stuck in that cycle. So we create our own loop because of our thoughts. Now, what is the difference between thinking and thoughts? Again, thinking, there are two types. One is active thinking. The second one is passive thinking. In the active thinking, you purposefully focus, you spend time and concentrate and think because there is an object to it. There is a purpose to it. There is an aim to it. And you allocate time, you sit, and your intention is to think on a subject. So that is active thinking. Passive thinking is a thinking that is done without any intent, without any definite intent. Example, daydreaming, or an example where you have no job, you have no work to do, you are just sitting idle. And there are a lot of thoughts which comes. So that is passive thinking, because those thoughts don't have any intent, don't have any purpose. It just comes to you. So that is passive thinking. So this is the thinking process. And this thinking leads to thoughts. Again, the very nature of the thought is it is a living being. Your thought has energy. It is a being. All the thoughts you radiate, it goes into the nature, it goes into the elements, and your thoughts impact the animals. It impacts the nature, and also your thought remains with you in the mental body. So thoughts are very, very powerful. And these thoughts are fundamentally conceived. It is born out of your thinking. And the thinking is because of your feelings and desires. And this remains even after death. And there is another visiting thoughts. There's another category of visiting thoughts where the thoughts are not your thoughts, but the thoughts are from another person. So these, we call it as visiting thoughts. And these thoughts, they circulate in the ether. For example, you go to a particular country, and in that country has a lot of survival consciousness. The moment you land in that country, you can pick up the vibrations because most of the people are thinking about survival. But even though you don't have survival issues, the moment you land in that country, you have that survival thoughts coming to you. Or you might you might go to your friend's home, or you might go to somebody's relative's home, where the couple is always fighting, the husband-wife is always fighting. The moment you step into that house, then you feel little uncomfortable. You feel that there is something wrong in that space because your mind is very happy, peaceful, but you are having this agitation coming around you. So that's not your thoughts. That's the thoughts circulating in the ether. And these other thoughts, your thoughts impact others, and other thoughts also impact you. And there is a saying, frequency attracts frequency. You radiate a thought like, I want to meditate and I want to get enlightened. And you meet another person who is also radiating the same thought, I want to meditate and I want to get enlightened. So when these two people meet, they become good friends. So that's why they say the birds of the same feathers flock together. It's based on what kind of thoughts you are radiating. So these are visiting thoughts. Visiting thoughts are the thoughts not from you originally, but it is coming from the other person. Okay. So first, you have to understand that whether it is an active thinking or passive thinking, once it is in once you radiate that, either it is active or passive, but once you release the thought, and that thought remains in our aura. And basically, every thought, what we release, it has to be balanced. If it is unbalanced, then it carries forward in lifetimes and lifetimes. So we have to be very careful of what kind of thoughts we are radiating. So just imagine there are certain thoughts which just come and go. So that we are not thinking, but another person is discussing a topic and he is releasing a thought, and it is not your thought. So that means you are not releasing that thought from you. It's just a passing thought. That doesn't affect you. But when you try to get attached to that visiting thought, then you start thinking about it, then you release your thought, then it becomes part of your aura. So there is a clear differentiation I want you to understand. For example, you might be a husband, wife, might be thinking, the wife might say, okay, let us go for a holiday. And the husband has no interest to go for a holiday. So the wife has released a thought to go for a holiday, and the husband listens to the thought, but the husband is not interested. So going for a holiday is not part of the husband's aura, because it's a visiting thought from the wife. He heard, he didn't pay much attention, he doesn't want to do it. So it is a visiting thought. But when he thinks about it, then it becomes his thought. So there are many, many thoughts we come across which bombards us. But when we start thinking about it, then it becomes our thought. Okay, so once you radiate a thought, then you have to balance it, or you have to perform your duty, or else it will stay within your aura for lifetimes together. So how do you deal with it? What are the ways? One is you have to do the duty willingly, gladly, without fear, without any hope and expectations or attachment. You have to underline the word without any expectations or attachments. So when you are able to do it, then you are able to fulfill that. Or you get into a very deep state of awareness where you can clearly say that whatever the thought, yes, it is my thought, I have radiated it, I have released it, but I'm no more interested in it. Because every thought you radiate has an aim and a purpose. There are two things attached with the thought, the aim and the purpose. For example, you radiate a thought. At that time, there is a particular purpose. For example, you want to buy a new fridge, or you want to change your AC, which is not working. So you have radiated the thought that, okay, I want to buy it. Why you want to buy it? Because the purpose is it's not working properly. But then a situation has come, a mechanic has come and fixed it. It's a small issue, just a short circuit, you fixed it and it is working very well. So now the purpose has changed. Now you don't need to buy a new fridge. So then you say, okay, actually I don't need a new fridge. So you change your thought. That means you revoke your thought. So when you revoke your thought also, it becomes balanced. So one is either to fulfill it, and the other is you see that the aim and the purpose has changed, so you revoke it back. Or the third option is, as soon as you are radiating the thought, for example, you radiate something negative towards another person or towards a situation, then as soon as you radiate the thought, you become aware of it and you say, actually, my desire is not that. Actually, my desire is enlightenment. So I cancel it. My priority is this. I don't want to hurt anybody. Why should I complain on anybody? Why should I judge somebody? I better focus on myself. So then you immediately cancel the thought. So these are the three possible ways you can balance your thought. Here, the meditation plays an important role. The more you meditate, the more you become aware of your thoughts. It is the thinking which has to be corrected. The mind has to be rectified. When the mind is rectified, then your surroundings changes. Your inner impacts the outer. When your inner is transformed, when you change your inner, the outer is also transformed. But if you don't change your inner, the outer never transforms. So this is we all know that when we change inside, the outer changes, but this is a scientific explanation how our thoughts, our thinking are impacting. When I say the outer, your thoughts actually impact the nature and the environment. Many years ago, I had an opportunity to have a channeling session with one of our very great channelers in Australia. And that time there was a question put forth. It's regarding the vegetarian topic. So we say, okay, we have to be vegetarian and there should be no killing. So then we asked a question that, you see, the animals are killing the animals. There are wild animals which kill the animals and eat as a food. So what about that killing? So then the channeling message was, it was many years ago, almost more than, I think, 12, 14 years ago. So at that time, the answer was, the channeling message answer was, you will be very surprised with our answer. And we know you almost believe it. Don't believe it. Whether you believe it or not, the truth is, the day the human on the planet Earth become a vegetarian, all the animals also become vegetarian, because the animals' thinking are impacted by the human thinking. So our thoughts not only affect us, it affects our surroundings, the nature, the animals, the environment. So we say the Mother Earth has a consciousness. We have a consciousness. The Mother Earth also has a consciousness. But many people say, oh, I have come here to raise the consciousness of the planet Earth. I have come here to do great things, help the animals and save the Mother Earth. But the only way you can support is when you change your own thinking. If you don't change your thinking to miraculous thinking, then nothing changes outside. So it's a responsibility of the individual to change the thinking, then it impacts the whole of the planet Earth. So that in essence means our 100% focus should be on our self-realization. Then by default, you are impacting the surroundings, the nature, the whole of the planet Earth. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, what you can do is only on yourself, right? Don't think that so there are some people who live in the illusion. I came here to help the animals. I came here to save the planet Earth and environment. These are all very good thoughts. That's perfectly fine. But how you can really impact is as an individual when you change. When your thinking is not miraculous, when you yourself have so much blockages, when you yourself are so much unconscious, and fundamentally that means when you yourself are not enlightened, what impact can you do to another person? So I want you to understand fundamentally that if at all you are in any kind of illusion, that come out of this illusion, the only reality, the only truth is there is something you can do within. So focus on that. That is the very essence of meditation. That is the very core desire we all have. The other desires we have is coming from the nature. The core desire from within you is self-realization. Okay, so I can give an example. Even in the last session when I came for the woman empowerment, I said, I'm not for woman empowerment. I'm for the empowerment of the human consciousness. So both the men and the woman, they both have to be empowered. And the only way is when the consciousness shifts. See, the soul doesn't have a female or a male. The soul is neither a female nor a male. The soul is androgynous. So in this lifetime, you are a woman. You are thinking about woman empowerment. So I'll just give an example. Okay. So in this lifetime, because this woman empowerment is a concept, it's an imported concept from America. The woman empowerment concept never existed in India because we all focus on Dharma. This is a Dharma Bhumi. India was a Dharma Bhumi, right? We call it as a Dharma Kshetra. Everybody was focused on duty. So the woman was so happy fulfilling her duty and the men were so happy fulfilling her duty, his duty. And the woman always step up. The woman always stepped up. Even if you take hundreds of years ago, they were women warriors in our land. So they step up when their husband who died in the battlefield. The woman, as a queen, she used to go and take charge of the kingdom and protect the kingdom and go to the battlefield. So she expressed all the bravery of being a warrior because she stepped up as a duty. And if you take all the tribal communities, if you go to all the places where it is untouched by this external influences, you will see there is a beautiful synergy between a man and a woman. The men respect the woman respect the men, because men has certain duties which he is happily able to do. You understand, when it comes to dharma, means it comes as a duty, you do it happily. So men does certain duties happily, and the woman does naturally certain things happily. So the woman compliments the men compliments the woman. You take all the Aboriginal communities, they are very happy. Even in villages you go, the men and women are very happy. Even in my own, when I was a child, my grandmother was so happy. She doesn't know what is woman empowerment because she is so happy herself. And my grandfather was happy, my grandmother was happy. There was a happy community, there was a happy family. This woman empowerment concept came from the Western world because there is something that the shift has to happen from the conscious level. When the consciousness shifts, then your thinking changes. When your thinking changes, then there is peace and love and harmony everywhere. I'll give you an example. In this lifetime, you are a woman, you are born in America, and you are fighting for woman empowerment. Or in some cases, you are born in India, you went to America, and you think about woman empowerment. You come back to India and you say, okay, woman empowerment, woman empowerment. You fight for the woman empowerment. But what about the men? The men are also sensitive. The men also get affected in the relationship. So in this lifetime, you are a woman. The next lifetime, you will be born as a man. Because every soul takes the lifetime of both men and women. The next lifetime, you will be born as a man. And you will be in a very abusive relationship. Your wife will abuse you psychologically, emotionally every single day. And then you will think about men empowerment. You will think about the men also needs community circle. The men also need support. You know, in the Western world, there is men's groups where the men come and share their own abuse from the women and the wives and the girlfriends, and they support each other. In the Western world, there is both the groups. So I don't want you to get limited in your thinking, getting identified with limited thinking of a gender-based woman and men. That thinking is also wrong. We are pure Atma, we are a soul. So whatever the life, whatever the gender you have chosen in this lifetime, whether it is a man or a woman, you focus on the duty, you focus on the dharma. When you focus on the dharma, that liberates you. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. That means when you follow your dharma, that dharma will protect you. So as a woman, there is a dharma. As a man, there is a dharma. So focus on your dharma in this moment, because this present moment is the reality. So focus on this moment, what I can do. Then you are helping yourself. So now it is all linked. So now let's come back to the unbalanced thoughts. Because the moment you radiate a thought, we have to face the consequences. We know about it. Now, what happens to this? What happens to this unbalanced thought? These are the ones we thought about it yesterday. Different scenarios we have done, and with different examples. So now we stopped till here yesterday. Let us continue. So man creates many thoughts out of his desires. But is he prepared to do his duty? Because he is not aware of it. Now, these unconscious thoughts, still thoughts are very powerful. And again, it depends on the intensity of your thought. If the intensity of your thought is not there, that means you are thinking A and then you are thinking one step forward, two steps backward, then the thoughts are very weak. So it doesn't manifest. But when there is so much intensity, when there is feelings, when there is emotions, then the intensity of the thoughts are too much. Then you have to pay the consequences. You have to do what needs to be done. These duties bind the man for many, many incarnations we have discussed until he performs the duty willingly, gladly, without any hope or praise or without any expectations and without any attachment to the results. This is what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. Perform the action and don't expect the results, whatever might be the results. You simply do your duty. So Krishna's main message to Arjuna was, you do your duty, you do your dharma, don't expect the outcome. So in a relationship, you just take in a relationship, husband-wife relationship. As a wife, you should do your duty towards your husband, towards your children, towards your family members, without complaining, without any expectations. Some women, they expect the appreciation from the men. Always they expect the appreciation from the men. Why do you expect the appreciation from the men? You simply do your dharma. You do your duty. As a wife, what is your duty? You do it. As a mother, what is your duty? You do it. You do the duty not expecting anything. You do the duty because you feel good that you are doing this duty to come out of this bondage, to come out of this karmic bondage. When you do it without any expectations or without any complaints, basically, because you got married, it is your choice to get married. You got married. So whatever might be the challenges in the marriage, you have to face it. Every marriage has challenges. So you have to face the challenges without any complaints. When you face the challenges without any complaints, without any expectations, then you will come out of that karma. You will come out of that karmic relationship. You will become liberated. That is the key. Because you got into that relationship because you radiated a thought, maybe in this lifetime or maybe in the past life, that you wanted a married life. You wanted a married life. You radiated that. You released that thought. And you have to face that thought is unbalanced. So to balance the thought, now you got married. This moment you are married. So face it. Happily face it without any complaints. You do your dharma and that dharma will liberate you. It is the same for a woman and it is the same for a man. Here the gender doesn't apply. We are all playing the roles. We all take the man body and the woman body. This is just a role we are playing. But how you perform the action, what is your attitude when you are performing your duty, you are performing your dharma. Whenever I speak about duty, you understand it is dharma. So what is the attitude you have when you are performing the dharma? That helps you to learn a lot of lessons. That helps you to liberate from the karma. And that helps you to go into the path of happiness, joy, moksha. Let's take an example of Vanessa. She is the eldest child and she has younger siblings, and her mother passed away at a very early age. But she has the desire to be married and to be a wife and a mother. But her situation was her mother passed away when she was very young and she was sisters and brothers to take care. And the father doesn't remarry and the father doesn't take much responsibility. Then what happens? She takes up the responsibility and she looks after the younger siblings and she makes sure all her sisters and brothers are well settled and they are taken care. So in that process, she passes the marriage age and she remains a single, and her desire, her thought to be a wife and a mother is not fulfilled. So then when she is born again, then she is born as another woman named Charmi, and she gets married very early and she has 3 children within 5 years of marriage. And she manifested it because the thoughts are released in the past life. So in the present life, she got married very early and she has 3 children. And now she has a duty of a mother to take care of all the three children. Now understand, if you want to have a child, it's not an easy joke. It's a 20-year project. For each child, it's a 20-year project. As a mother, you have to dedicate your 20 years towards your child. And if you are having three children, and that means almost most of your life is gone towards taking care of the child. Now she created that reality because of her own desires, because of her own thoughts. So whatever the situation we are in this moment, we have created it. And when we are fulfilling that duty, whatever we have the duty in the present moment, you fulfill that duty, then you come out of the bonds. The thoughts become balanced. Okay. Another example. Just imagine there is a man, Indra, and he joined a Buddhist monastery at a very early age. This is a past life. He joined a Buddhist monastery at a very early age, and he studied Buddhism. He practiced all the teachings. And at the age of 55, he became a head monk. And within 1 year of taking charge of the monastery, he later on passed away because his desire was to teach meditation. Because he has so much of practice, he wants to teach meditation, but he passed away within 1 year of taking charge of a head monastery. Now, what happens then? He will be born again as another person, as a Raja, and he has to wait till 53 years. And in the 53 years, he discovers meditation. Let's say he discovers Anapanasati meditation and he practices 2 years intensely. And the age of 55, he opens a meditation center and he starts teaching. So for him, his desire to teach meditation is unfulfilled in his past life. And in this lifetime, he has to do that. And you might ask a question, why he has to wait 53 years to come into meditation? Because there are so many other thoughts he has released in his past lives, that he wants to earn a lot of money, he wants to get married, he wants to have a beautiful wife, he wants to have children. So it took 53 years for him to settle down those desires and those thoughts, to balance those thoughts, and only later on that only he can come. So here the point what I'm trying to explain is, you release the thoughts, but for the thought to come back to you, you need the right atmosphere, the right environment. Everything should be fertile. Then only it will manifest. So you have to be very careful. Some people, they release that certain kind of thoughts. Then for the next lifetime may not be immediate. They have to wait hundreds of lifetimes to find a suitable parents so that their thoughts can become balanced, the suitable parents, the family, the atmosphere, the country, everything. So we have to be really very careful with what kind of thoughts we are radiating, my dear friends. Now, in these two examples, if they don't do their dharma with complete acceptance, with complete joy, without any complaints, then it carries forward to future lifetimes and it creates more karmic patterns with them, and they are stuck in further more lifetimes. You have to also understand that the desires, it comes in the time where we need to learn the maximum lessons. So that means in our weakest, sometimes in our weakest moments, the desires come and affect us. The thoughts which we release come back to us in our weakest moments. So for example, you want to meditate. You feel that, okay, my life purpose is I want to meditate. I want to come out of all the suffering. I want to be a happy person. Your simple aim is I want to be a happy person. So you will start meditating. And when you start meditating, what happens? You will meditate 1 year, 2 years. Then you will start having the desire of a woman, of a money, of, people should praise me. I want to teach. So with the teaching, people should appreciate me, that I'm a very good teacher. I should have more followers. All those desires come to you in the most vulnerable moment in your meditation journey, which will set back your journey further more lifetimes. So you have to be very careful with our thoughts and with our desires. Now, the question is, you might ask, okay, I might have released so many thoughts in my past life, but what can I do now? Yes, I know I might have released so many thoughts, but what should I do? How can I be careful this moment so that I'm not creating any more lifetimes for me? I'm not stuck in future lifetimes. So it's very simple. First is, we should not complain and accept that it is our own design. It is whatever it is in your life situation, whether you are financially going through challenges, or whether you are going through relationship issues, or whether you are going through emotional issues, physical issues, whatever might be the challenges you are going through this moment, accept it. Unconditionally accept it. The very key is acceptance. When you accept, you don't accept because you are helpless. Some people say, "Main kya karu? I have to accept." No, that should not be the way. You accept it with the full understanding that I have designed this lifetime and I cannot complain about it. It is very silly. You complain about your own life is a very silly, because you have designed from the soul perspective, and your soul is super smart to design that particular lifetime, to design this particular lifetime. So, absolutely no complaints. And the very essence of spirituality is to make peace with your own design, make peace with whatever the circumstances you understand, make peace with it, become comfortable with it. No complaints against anybody, against nature, against God, against the society, against your parents, against your children. Absolutely no complaints. And whatever comes in your way, whatever comes in your way this moment, you do it happily, without any issues, without any gossip or complaints or feeling uncomfortable about it. Just whatever comes in this moment in front of you, do it with a smile on your face. Then you are neutralizing the karma. In that process, you learn a lot of lessons. So the very acceptance is that you are not having any expectations. And for not having any expectations, you have to have acceptance. And when you have the acceptance, then there is no complaints. Then you are fulfilling your dharma, and that dharma will liberate you. So again, once again, I repeat, what is the duty? What is duty? Duty is very simple. In this moment, what you need to do, that becomes your duty. Okay, what is needed, what is required to do in the present moment, that is your duty, that is your dharma. For example, Ali wishes to meditate, and she's a mother, and she has a 3 years old daughter, and her daughter is not feeling well. The daughter is having fever, but she wants to do meditation. She wishes to do meditation. But what is her duty this moment? What is her dharma? Her dharma is not to meditate and join the group sessions. Her dharma is to take care of the child. That is the present moment. When the child becomes normal, when the child becomes healthy, then she can join the meditation. But when the child is not feeling well, she cannot join the meditation. She has to do the duty of a mother first, because that is the need of the hour. This moment, she has to take care of it. So that's how the duty is defined only in the present moment. In the present moment, what is my priority? What is the most important thing I should do this moment? That becomes your duty, that becomes your dharma. Your dharma is the result of your own past thoughts. And when these thoughts are not balanced, when I say not balanced, that means it is in your aura, it is in your mental body, and you have not revoked it, you have not cancelled it. So it is still there. So that thoughts will manifest. So you have to be better prepared for it. And you have to accept it, and you have to do it willingly, gladly. Then you come out of that loop, you come out of that cycle of going through that thought process again and again. So just imagine, you are in a husband-wife relationship. You keep complaining about your husband, or you keep complaining about your wife. You know what happens? Even though you are doing your duty, but you complain about it, you will repeat the same lesson in the next lifetime until you learn not to complain. So this is a very tricky part. You might be doing your duty, but you are not happy doing the duty. you have complaints against it, then you are creating new karmas. So the same lesson will repeat. So you have to be so careful. So that's the most important point to learning. And then the other learning points are, be aware. Most of the time, we will not be aware of what are the unbalanced thoughts we have in the past life. Unless you are such a great, highly meditative person, you are aware of your thought field. But normal people, they are not aware of it. So how will they know how to come out of it? So with the present moment, focus on your present moment and perform all your dharma, your duties, your responsibilities, whatever the responsibilities you have taken, you perform it with the right attitude. That is the most important point. And performing with the right attitude is accept all the situations, do your best, forget the rest. That should be your mantra. Do your best, forget the rest, and let go of all the attachments to the results of the action. This is again very important. Accept all the life situations, do the best, forget the rest, and without any attachments on the results of your action. Just be in a witness consciousness. And when you are doing this, when you do the best and leave the rest, then what happens? Then your thoughts becomes balanced. Then you gain so much knowledge in that process, in that whole process of detachment, with the whole process of being aware. Then you gain so much knowledge. You empower yourself in terms of your consciousness expands. And finally, the man feels satisfaction, lightness, serenity. So that is nothing but he is in Ananda. He is in a state of bliss. Okay. So these are the points we need to understand. This is the conclusion. With this, another example is, for example, you are practicing meditation and you got benefit of the meditation and you want to teach meditation. So when you are teaching meditation, you should not be worried that if I teach meditation, how many people will come? Only may not be many people may not be coming. So only 5 people might come. So why should I do it? Maybe I ask somebody else to do the class. No, don't focus on how many people are coming, whether it benefits you or not. Okay, whether some people, they go into the inferiority complex. I'm not good enough to be a teacher. I'm not good enough to do this job. No, don't put aside all your thoughts. What is your duty? What is your dharma? Your dharma is only to teach. Don't expect the outcome. Whether people appreciate you, whether 1 person comes for your class, whether 2 person comes for your class, whether nobody comes for your class, doesn't matter. Your dharma is to teach. So you make an attempt to do the teaching without any expectations. So that is the most important point. So once again, I repeat, you might be doing your duty, but if you have any complaints, you will be repeating the same thing.